when you're really, really sick, I mean, like you've got cancer, there is no better way as far as food efficiency than to go 100% raw for 120 days, okay? This doesn't mean you got to spend the rest of your life, but I've done this over and over again. I've seen cancers completely healed over and over and over again, as long as, guess what? I've got their thoughts turned around. That's why I always start there first. If they don't have hope, if they don't have belief, they are not going to get well. I don't care what they eat. So that is on top. And then I put them on a raw food diet for 120 days, and their lives, 90% of the night turn around. Some people it takes a little longer, but then they can go back into regular eating, which means, of course, not eating unclean food if we can possibly get them there, you know, for those that are Torah-minded. So, in my lifestyle now, pretty much, except when I'm out like this, I won't be quite as strict. And it doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it. You know, you go with what you got. But at home, pretty much, it's about an 80% raw, 20% cooked diet. And I always like to bring this up. The studies that I've read about the oldest people in the world, what do they really have in common? Guess what? It wasn't being vegetarian. So these are two things you'll want to write down just to ponder. It's what these guys are really doing without really thinking about is they're living a fasted life. So here's the two common things. Whether they were totally vegetarian, raw foodists, or they ate meat and drank milk and ate grain and all those other things and cooked their food, the two things they had in common was they only ate 2 meals a day. Most of them would stop eating by 2:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which means they're fasting the whole rest of the day, every day. And the second thing is they never ate till they were full. They had till they felt really good. There's a difference, you know. And so if you eat till you're full, you've already ate too much. You've overstretched. So these are the two things they had in common. So as a personal experience, this just happened to me. Because I had a bunch of relatives visit me 2 or 3 months ago, and I do have genetic tendencies towards my mother, which is the ability to gain lots of weight if I want to. And I was getting ready to go to Central America, and I said, I cannot go down there in the midst of all that and not be healthy like I normally am. So I gained almost 20 pounds here 4 or 5 months ago in about 6 weeks, because I was eating with my sister who was visiting and my daughter who was visiting from California, and we're just partying and having a good time, and I was eating way too much carbs and eating at night. And so I thought, you know, something I've never done is just not change anything I'm eating other than let's just stop eating at night. Because I had 6 weeks to go before I went to Belize, and I said, I just got to go for 6 weeks. And then whenever I travel, I always gain weight. So the point is, I did that. The first 3 days I did it, I thought I was going to die. Because why? My receptor sites are set. No, you need this food. You've got to have it. My body says, you better go in there and get something. You're going to die. You know, just how bad you feel. By the 3rd day, I'm feeling like $1 million. By the 6 weeks, the 20 pounds is gone. So I thought, well, when I go to Belize, I'll probably gain weight. So what we'll do is just continue on. Eat what I get over there, beans and rice and whatever. Guess what? Didn't eat at night, came home, weighed exactly the same. So for myself, and I feel fantastic. See? So here again, something to ponder for depending on where you're at in your walk with trying to move towards optimum wellness. What we do know scientifically, though, is that the best fuel in the world is definitely raw because it's more efficient. The good news is that Heavenly Father put in all of raw food enzymes, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a bit. But so when you eat cooked food, you kill all the enzymes. Now, in the 80s, we were all about vitamins and minerals. Of course we need vitamins and minerals. You cannot live without vitamins and minerals. But what we weren't told is, which is why you don't see it in the vitamin bottles back in that day, no enzymes. What we weren't told is that you can't use a vitamin or a mineral effectively if you don't have an enzyme to carry it to the cell and get it inside. So while you can't live on enzymes, without them, you cannot be healthy. So in the old days in the 80s, when I would take 3,000 milligrams, let's say, of vitamin C, I was really only getting 10%. That's what they've proven scientifically. But it was 10% I didn't have, so you feel better. But you're wasting a lot of money. And so when the enzyme world came along and they put enzymes with 100 milligrams of vitamin C or any other vitamin, you got the benefit of all 100. So therefore you didn't need to put 3,000. You see what I'm saying? So that was the next level, which has been going on now for about the last 20 years. This whole science of enzymes is really the head of the game now. Because enzymes are what digests your food, but they're also, guess what? They are, this is a hard thing to understand, they are your immune system. Now, Father had that in mind when he designed the food, that they would be our immune system and responsible for the ability, I mean, it's enzymes that will take off the shell of a virus, which is made out of protein or fat. So all you take is an enzyme that dissolves fat or protein, and it dissolves it, and then that virus is dead, gone. So that's a whole other thing, but it's enzymes. Father knew that when he put it in raw food, and then we cook it out, can it. So all you're doing when you take enzymes, you're doing nothing but adding back what you killed out. That's all you're doing. It's not something new. It's just taking out of raw food, dehydrated, and put it in when you eat. And when you do that, you're helping your immune system, and you're breaking your food down so you get the benefit of all those vitamins and minerals and everything that he put in there, right? Here's a fun one, and I can totally relate to this. 60% of your carbs, whether they're fruits, vegetables, or bread, are to be dissolved before they ever get to the stomach because the enzymes are in your mouth. So what does that mean most of us don't do? Chew. There you go. You got this. That's exactly right. When you chew, you release those enzymes that are designed to break down the carbohydrates primarily. Believe me, I was a chew, swallow guy, okay? Understand that.
Once, twice, swallow.
Yeah, that's right. And then people wonder why they have gas, because see, then what happens is your food, your carbs aren't broken down, they go down in your gut in big chunks, and then your body ferments, and that's all, any kind of gas, whether it's up here or down here, is just fermentation. If you have gas, you already know what it is. It's just fermentation. You've got to do something to get your food broken down so that you don't have the gas. So that being said, if you're under stress when you eat, you're not going to break your food down, and it's the stress, not the food, that caused you to have the gas. So there you go. Something else to ponder. Best not eat when you're mad at your spouse. Okay. And of course, the other thing is when you're eating, a lot of people turn on TV or they listen to stuff, and you know, we've heard, you need to relax, because when you're stimulated, watching TV, you eat a lot faster, and you know what I mean? It's common sense. It's just, you want to have a nice Torah talk or something, you know, while you're eating or something, instead of watching a movie or doing something to stimulate it. Now, after all that, I wanted to just give you a little bit of a menu as to kind of what I do. And everybody, you find what works for you. Now, when I tell you I don't eat meat, believe me, it has nothing to do with a religious thing. This simply has to do with, I feel the best. So when I do eat meat, I can enjoy it. It's just not a lifestyle. So at home, I choose not to. Because my body, meats are just harder to digest than grains and then fruits and vegetables. So I just feel a lot better not doing any dairy and not doing any meat, hardly none at home, and very little grains. But understand, this is not a religious issue. This is called you pay attention to your body. How do you pay attention to your body? After you eat, you should feel like you could run 1,000,000 miles. You should just feel just energized. If you're not, stop. Why am I not feeling? There's only two reasons. You either overate or you have a bad, food combination. You put stuff in there that your body's being stressed out. It says, I'm having a hard time breaking this down, so I'm going to take all my blood, come out of your brain, and I've got to go down there and deal with this thing you did to me. So if you feel energized, you can go, well, what did I just eat? Wow, that's great. I need to remember that. That really made me feel good. And this takes a while. You start learning, like, wow, I really feel good when I eat this particular meal. When I fix this meal, I feel like I need to take a nap. And then you got to discern, well, that's because I overate. Now, this is, to me, a blessing. I don't know how it affects everybody else, but I know exactly the very bite when I need to stop. Because this is the way the body works. My nose will start running on the exact bite. I will get a clear run. You know what that is? That's the body saying, okay, immune system, kick on, send all the red blood cells to go down and engulf this food that he's going to go ahead and eat, that he shouldn't be, and I'm going to get rid of it by stuffing up his sinuses. And I'm going to, but it's just a run. So if I stop there, I'm good. So that's a warning sign. If I go back to my childhood and, oh my goodness, I got all this food, I need to clean my plate like I was told to do, or I'm going to go to hell. It's kind of how you were raised. That's not good. So I have to fight that. So if I go ahead and press through that and continue to eat the plate, guess what happens to me next? I sneeze. Well, the sneezing is not an allergy. See, this is what we've been taught medically. The sneezing is your body telling you, you overate. Now I'm going to have to really ramp it up and try to blow it out of you, because that's what it's doing. It's literally trying to take it out of you. And so I can, if I choose to go eat, I'm choosing to sneeze. And when I sneeze 8 to 10 times every time, then I'm good. I don't have any other allergy. So it's just a warning thing. What a blessing, right? Now I can choose to obey or not obey. I get to choose to pay the consequence. I'm the one choosing, right? And we can apply this to anything. So for me to have that warning signal, now to me that's the consequence, if you will, or the blessing of having an efficient body. Because at 61 I feel really good, my body works well, and I know that I didn't have that efficiency when I was younger. I didn't get the runny nose and all that. It's just as I've cleaned up, your body's getting sharper at recognizing stresses, right? So for me, it's a blessing. So you might check that out so that you correlate. Maybe it's not an allergy. Maybe it has to do with my body coming against the food I eat, either the type or how much of that type of thing, okay? Now, all these things, the last thing I want to say on this part about food is, like what I do in the morning is, here'd be a typical breakfast. I do green smoothies, and I mean, it is such, first of all, it's non-stress, it's easy to fix, it doesn't take a lot of dishes. See, all this comes into play when you got a busy lifestyle. And so I will take Vitamix, so I totally encourage people to own, save up money, because those things last forever and it makes your life so easy. It's so much far superior than just a regular blender. But you can make stuff like a hot soup or a cold smoothie in like 2 minutes. And anybody that's had a Vitamix knows what I'm talking about. And it works fantastic. Then you stick a drop of soap in there, put water in it, zip it up, and you're done. You can run out the door. That's it. It's washed and ready to go. So a lot of times in the morning I'll take a lot of greens, just like I do a juice, throw them in the Vitamix. I will throw some like raw protein powder. I can use different things, but I like to have extra protein just because we're getting older. We need just as much protein as we did as a kid. We don't need the carbs, we need the protein, see? And I'll throw that in there. I'll throw some almond milk, or I'll throw some water, it doesn't matter. And then I'll throw some superfood. These are things you can do if you have a little extra money, you just want to beef it up, you know. And there's lots of super greens, which what are they? Just dehydrated greens. It's like a dehydrated spinach, except I throw that and that on top of it to make it extra. Then I'll throw like some strawberries or blueberries or a banana, whatever I want to do. I'll throw an avocado in there. I mean, one of my favorite smoothies is a big handful of spinach and avocado. And by the way, avocados are your friend, not your enemy. This low-fat garbage that's been promoted is horrible. It's like the worst thing you can do to your brain and your hormones is not eat fat. Bad news. It's just the kind of fat you're eating. So I throw an avocado in there, spinach and strawberries. What an awesome case of it. And if you want in the summer when it's colder and you want it to be like ice cream, just freeze the strawberries, freeze the banana. And then you got your healthy ice cream. So that would be one breakfast. Another breakfast would be I'd get up in the morning and I say, okay, this morning I'm going to have some vegetables, and I'll put them in the frying pan. And I'll put a couple tablespoons of coconut oil in there. Then I'll cut up a lot of garlic, a lot of onions, some zucchini, some celery. And I'll put it in there and I'll turn it up for about 2 minutes on high, just to kind of get that really rolling. Then I turn it down on the lowest setting on the stove. And I put some, by the way, I put a little water in it so it's not frying. It's like a little bit of water, the coconut oil, so it more steam fries, but it soaks up the coconut oil. Then I go get me 2 eggs, I put them in the Vitamix, I take a big handful of spinach, I throw that, or any other green, throw that into the Vitamix, whip that up, that turns it into some kind of a liquid that I just drizzle over the top of the vegetables. And then I just let it sit in there for like, 10 minutes or so while I'm doing some exercises. When that comes out, the egg is done, the top is done, the garlic and that is all done, but those celery and stuff that I laid on actually a little bit later, they're still crunchy, because I forgot to tell you, I put those on right before I put the eggs on, after I make sure the garlic and the onions are done, because those take and I put jalapeno peppers in there. I put those up, baby. I like that in there. And then when I get that off the stove, then I take salsa or spaghetti sauce, and I pour that over top. So that would be an example of a breakfast. It's a good, healthy breakfast. And that, see, that's not a raw food. That would be a totally cooked meal. That's my point. You know, you find a balance unless you're really sick and you got to do something to go over the top for a while. So that'd be an example. Then at lunch, I come home and I just make a great big salad with all kinds of stuff in it. And then maybe we'll cook some squash. So I'll have like something cooked with a lot of raw and just have that balance there, you know. And that's the end of my day for food. And then at night, what I do is I